Okay, so good afternoon, class. How are you? Okay, so before we proceed to our discussion of today or this afternoon, can you please, who wants to volunteer to lead a prayer? Okay, yes. Okay, volunteer. Okay, start. Okay, so anyone absent today? Are you all here? Are you all around? So nobody is absent? Okay, very good for that perfect attendance. So last time, class, we deal with thermodynamics. So what did you learn or what did you remember about thermodynamics? So let us, okay, I just call one among the class. Okay, just state or just express yourself. What have you learned during our discussion last time? So regarding the thermodynamics. Okay, so I'll call. So Mr. Peewee, yes. So can you tell me about your understanding or can you give insight to the class? What have you learned during our discussion last time? So it deals with thermodynamics. So related to thermodynamics, so thermodynamics is all about, yes, very good. It's all about heat and motions. So from motions, so motion of particles of a substance, of a certain substance, resulting to have energy transmission. So heat through heat. So let's proceed to our first law of thermodynamic topic to be discussed today, this afternoon. So first law of thermodynamics. Anyone who has idea of what is first law of thermodynamics or what is all about thermodynamics? First law of thermodynamics. Anyone? Any idea? Richie? Richie, do you have any idea? So none anyway, we still have to discuss it today. So, according to the concept of concept behind this law, first law of thermodynamics is that energy, yes, energy is, yes, cannot be created nor be destroyed. So what happened to the energy if the energy will not be created or never be destroyed? So what happened? What if I lose energy? So what happened to my energy? So if there's no destruction of energy, if we cannot destroy energy, so what happened? So as a continuation, it simply be transferred to from one place to another. So from one place to another. So it will be transmitted to the other system. So it is something like I am here currently living in Tagum, so I have to transfer to I have to transfer my residency, so maybe I will be in Davao City. So what happened to uh, what happened to me? Am I lost? Am I lost? Am I lost, baby boy? So am I lost? Yes? Of course I am not. I am not lost because I am just in where? I am just in Davao City, from Tagum to Davao City. So it is I have just moving myself from one place to another. So that's it. So I guess it could justifies the concept. So it simply be transferred to from one place to another. So First law of thermodynamics. So here. So we have, I'll just detach this one. So we could directly go to our topic. I'll just have to detach. So we have, so since we talk about thermodynamic, it is a heat and then the motion. So we have work and heat. So in motion, so we describe it as work, or we refer it as work, and then we have the heat or energy. So that is thermodynamics all about. So here, when system gains energy, so when heat is being transferred to a system, so that means that system gains energy, so additional energy. So that is called an internal energy to that system. So it is because heat is being transferred to that system. So what is work? So when work is being added, it's being exerted to the system, of course it affects the internal energy to either increase or decrease. It's because of work. So are they interrelated? So yes, they have relationship. So we have different type of system. So work and heat can either go through the boundary of the system, from the universe to the system. So there is what we call system or type of the system. So open system. Okay, anyone to give idea of an open system from the word open? So what do you mean by that? Yes? Yes, you are Charmel. Yes, you're raising your hand. So Charmel, what do you mean by open system? Yes, open system, that means you can go through the boundary. It's because it is open. So you can go out and in. Is that it? Yes, very good. So when open system, in thermodynamic, in physics matter, so we have to refer the what's that? The component which is the subject to going through the boundary of the system. This is energy and mass. Mass in chemistry, it is the physical property of a substance which refers to the weight of an object or an amount of the object after being weighed using might be the balance or any weighing scales. So mass energy associated with the mass or the substance can go through the system. So can go inside the system or can go outside. So that is back and forth. So that one. So there is no any security. It's because that is open. So it is accordingly. What is that? Come again. Come again, sister. So it's a welcoming. So it's a welcoming system to the visitors. So consider it energy and mass as a visitor. Then how about the closed system? Anyone? Okay, we have Corey. So Corey, can you explain how is closed system? So what is closed system? So by the way, I have a drawing here. So this one, when we speak of closed open system, so this is how it looks like. So there is an open, then see a carbon dioxide can go through the boundary, so it could enter into the system, and so with the energy which is heat, and at the same time can go out through the boundary. So that's one. It can go in and out. So that is can go through back and forth. So how about the closed system? So any guess? Yes. Corey. So closed system is, yes, according to you, that is, yes, very good. That is energy. Yes. Yes. So energy can, yes, energy can go through the boundary going outside and inside the system. But how about the mass? So the mass cannot go through the boundary. Instead what happened to the mass? It could just left to the environment or to the surroundings, to the universe. Only the energy can go, can pass through the boundary of the system from the outside. So how about the isolated? Before I forgot, I have here an illustration. So this is a box. Imagine that is the box. So heat can go through that boundary because that is not an open system, while carbon dioxide cannot pass through that boundary. That is how closed system is. Do not welcome for the substance to any substance. Only the energy may be coming from that substance to be emitted to that particular system to get through the boundary. So isolated system. Say for example, yes, your example is all about the man in the island. For example, yes, okay, yes, very far from the crowd because the man is in the island while the crowd is in the other side. Of course, the man cannot get any influence coming from this crowd because he is isolated from that island. So nothing can go, yes, can go through for him to gain any factors that could affect that man. So it's isolated, totally isolated. So that is energy plus mass cannot go together, cannot go through the boundary of the system. So let's proceed. So I'll just have to detach this one. For example, in an open system, if a system, so this one, if this is the system, the work can go through the boundary in order to get into the system, while heat also, the same as heat, can go through the system, and that energy called as internal energy of that particular system. So next, so our next is that the expression of getting the internal energy, since we've done talking about the internal energy. So since we have this expression, so I'll insert this additional information. If this is the system, if we add on 300 joules in here, so therefore this system, or 300 joules through work and heat, if this system get this 300 joules, so that is 300 joules, therefore this system gains 300 joules while universe loses 300 joules. If I put 300 joules on that system, therefore I have lost 300 joules while that system gained my 300 joules. So my 300 joules now is no longer mine. It is the system who on that transferred energy. So therefore, energy did not go anywhere or did not disappear or something like being destroyed. But instead, according to the concept of first law of thermodynamics, it simply be transferred from one place to another. So it justified the concept? Yes, it is. So now, since we've talked about the ingestion or the emission of energy into that system, so we have this particular expression in getting the internal energy status or internal energy. So in chemistry, it is expressed in delta U, capital U is equals to Q plus work. Plus work. Remember that one. In physics, we express that delta small u, because u in chemistry and this one here stands for internal energy or energy. Delta U small u is equals to heat, which is the Q. Q stands for energy. Heat energy is minus work. So that is in physics expression of getting the internal energy of the system. So why it is very different? Why they have different when it comes to expression? Because in chemistry, scientists take this viewpoint of what? They consider the internal of the system. So the system, their viewpoint is on the system. While in physics, the viewpoint is in the universe. So what factors or what influence the changes of the system? So it is the surrounding. What surrounded the system? So our viewpoint here in physics is on the universe, not on the system. So that is how different. Now in chemistry, since we talk about our viewpoint is on the system, so when heat energy is positive, therefore the system absorbed heat energy. So therefore the system gained energy coming from the universe. So at the same time, universe loses that certain amount of energy. So that is absorbed. So what we call that one? It is called as endo. From the word endo. So endothermic process. So that is emitting. So that is gaining. So this one. So coming from outside. So the inside the system, the internal system, the internal of that system gained from the outside, gain an energy. So here, if heat energy is negative, therefore release, it is released. So energy is being released. So where does the energy coming from after being released? In the system. That is, the system loses that energy while the universe gaining the energy being emitted by the system. And that is what we call exothermic. That is to emitting into the surroundings. So energy is being emitted to the surroundings. Now, we have done discussing the internal energy when we ingest or when we put 300 joules in that system. So therefore that system gain that joules, while this universe loses that same number of amount of energy. Now, if I will give a problem to solve, so here, but before that, remember this one. To solve the internal energy, we have to consider that if Q is positive if the heat is added to the system. So when heat coming from the surroundings added to the system, that is, the heat energy is positive. So remember that one. So that is what where we base our computation later. So when work is positive when it is done by the system. Why? When done by the system, therefore the system release work through to the surroundings. Therefore, the work is positive. Why? Because the universe is gaining that energy coming from the system. And why we refer or why we say that it should be positive? It's because in physics we are facing or we are paying attention to the universe, not the internal of the system, not the system. So therefore, when work is positive, it's because the system done the work, emitted it into the universe or the surroundings. Therefore, the surroundings now are gaining the energy coming from the or gaining the work coming from the system. So we are talking of the surroundings. So therefore, it is gaining. So therefore, that is negative. Now, how it is when when heat leaves the system? So the heat is negative. So when the heat leaves the system, that is negative. How about the work? So when the work done on the system, when the work done on the system, therefore coming from the universe, that is done on the system, that is negative. So the universe loses the work because the work is exerted into the system. So that's it. So now, any question, any clarification? Okay, yes? Why? Why the work is negative when done on the system? Is that? Why the work is done on the system is negative? It's because in physics, we are paying attention to the system. So when that happened, therefore, the universe loses the energy. So that's the reason why the work is indicated to be negative. So that's it. Is that clear? Okay. Anyone else? Any more? Nothing? Okay, proceed. Now, we have this expression and we have this statement. So, in computing, so we have to base this statement. Now, I will give you a problem. So, our problem, take note of this. So, take note of the problem. I will just read the problem. Okay. Okay, this is the problem. If there is 200 joules leave the system and 2,500 joules done on the system, so what is its internal energy status? So when 2,000 joules leave the system, so how could you identify its signs? So just take a look at this statement so you could identify what is this joules leaving that system is and how it is the 2,500 joules done on the system. Is that negative or positive? So when joules leave on the system, so that is energy, that is 2,000 joules leave the system, that is what? Leaving on the system. So the energy leaving the system, so that is negative. So when it is negative, Therefore, the energy coming from this system is going to the universe. So the universe now gain that particular energy. So now, when the work is done on the system, so that is 2,500 joules done on the system, therefore, coming from the universe, we are exerting that work into the system. So while the heat energy is leaving into the, going outside the system, going to the universe, so now, at the same time, oppositely, the universe exerting work into the system. So what will happen next? So this is that, since done on the system, therefore it is negative. Why negative when done on the system? As I have said that, yes, very good. In physics, we are yes, our viewpoint is on the universe, not on the system. Therefore, the universe loses that work because it is being exerted into the system, and therefore that is, the work is negative. So is that clear? So how will we uh, so we have this given number of joules, that is 2,000 joules leaving the system, so that is leaving the system, so that is negative. It's negative 2,000 joules because that leaves the system. So what if we exerted 2,500 joules into the system? What happened? So still negative, because in work our viewpoint is on the universe, not on the system. Since universe loses that work, that particular amount of joules of work, so that is negative. So we have negative 2,500 joules. So applying the expression of getting the internal energy in physics, so this is delta U is equals to Q minus work. So now we have the Q, so that is delta U is equals to negative 2,000 joules, that is minus negative 2,500 joules. Now, since we have this same, we have to multiply that same sign. So the product would be positive because same sign in the multiplication, it bears with the positive product. So it becomes positive. So delta U is equals negative 2,000 plus 2,500. So what will happen to that? So that would be subtraction. It because they have this different sign. So that is delta U, that is internal energy, that is 2,500 plus minus 2,000, so that is 500. 2,500, so it's bigger, the positive is bigger, so therefore this is 500 joules. That is the changes in internal energy of the system, while the energy, heat energy is leaving from the system, while we are exerting the force, which is 500 joules left in the system. This one. So are we clear? Is that clear? Okay, very good. Now, the second problem. If heat is leaving the system, which amounted to 3,500 joules, and work done by the system with 2,000 joules. So the work done by the system. So now it is the system who does the work. So what happened to the work? It is being transmitted to the universe. So the universe now gain the energy. While heat is leaving also it is energy also leaving the system. So together with our work is also living by the system. So what happened now to the energy in the system? So let's see. So applying the expression in getting the internal energy in physics, so we have this. We have to use again this formula or expression. So delta U is equals to Q minus W, which stands for work, and Q is for heat. So what happened? What will happen? So delta U, given the amount of 3,500 joules, it's leave the system, and that is negative. Yes? Anyone? Anyone? Yes, Lester. So that is negative 3,000, negative 3,500 joules. So to be minus, to be subtracted by what? The 2,000 joules, that is work done by the system. So the system now emitted the work into the universe. So the universe gained the work. So that is 2,000 joules. So what happened? So that is still what? Positive. That is not negative anymore because the universe gained the energy. So that is positive to this one here. Work is positive if it is done by the system. Exactly. So we have 2,000 joules. Now, different sign to be multiplied. That is different sign. So that is the product is negative. So that is still negative. So in delta U is equals 3,500 negative 3,500 minus 2,000. So that is, we have to add the same sign. So both negative, so we have to add that one. So in order for us to come up with, that is 3,500 plus 2,000 joules, 3,500 joules, negative 3,500 joules plus the 2,000 joules. So that is negative 'negative joules. Is that confusing? Is that confusing? It bears with the internal energy, the change is negative 5,500 joules. Why? Because the heat energy leaves the system. At the same time, the system eliminate a joules, that is or does the work out of the system. So the system does the work. So the work that 2,000 joules is being now received by the universe. So what happened to the system? Of course, it becomes negative. So it gives a lot of energy to the universe. So is that all clear? Okay. Any question? Any question? If none, so let's proceed. So I will be giving you a 2-item quiz. So I have here. Okay, just take note. So number 1, just submit your paper after you compute or solve the problem. So number 1 problem. So 3,000 joules. Don't forget to refer this statement for you not to be not to lose in your way. Are you lost, baby girl? So that's it. So 3,000 joules of heat is added to the system, and 2,500 joules of work is done by the system. What is the change in internal energy of the system now? You get it? Next. Okay, number 2. 2,000 joules of heat is added to a system and 2,500 joules of work is done on the system. So the universe done a work towards the system, so done on the system. So what is the change in internal energy? Okay, so let's answer the number 1, the first one, then the second one, the second problem will be your assignment tomorrow. So okay, so I am the one to write, then you will dictate me your answer. So the one who will answer, anyone to volunteer? Yes? Yes? Okay, Nova, very good. You're raising your hand. So what happened? So what are we going to write? Yes? So 300, what? 300 joules, that is Q. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. So first, this is your first to be right. So you the expression in physics to get the internal energy. So that is Q minus work. Is that? So that to be your first. Okay. Okay, continue. So what's next? So the given, what? Negative 3,000. Okay, why positive 3,000 joules? Your heat is positive 3,000 joules. Yeah, it's because, okay, very good. Because heat is added on the system. So the system gained the heat. So what's next? Given. So your work is negative to okay, that is positive 2,000, positive 2,500. So why positive 2,500? It's because it is done by the system. And now, yes, the universe gained the 2,500 coming from the system. So now, let's calculate. So delta U is equals what? What's next? This one? Positive 3,000 minus, okay, positive 2,500 joules. What are we going with that? So we have to multiply. Yes, very good. So we have to multiply this different sign in order to come up with a fixed expression. So delta U is equals to positive 3,000. So minus, since that is, they have different signs, so this is negative. Negative 2,500. And now what's the answer? 2,500. So calculate. So we have 3,000 that is positive and we have negative 2,500. So what's left? What's left in the system? So that is positive 500. 500 joules. So that is what is being left in the system. So the internal energy is positive 500 joules after the process. So any question? Nothing? So thank you for your participation. So the second problem would be your assignment for tomorrow. So next, we have to discuss the next thermodynamic, the law of thermodynamics. So which is the second thermodynamics tomorrow. So just research, make a research or just a study in advance for you to have background in our next lesson. So may I have your quiz or your paper? So may I have that one? Okay, thank you so much. God bless and take care. See you tomorrow. Bye!